So how does a CivilFX model, or what does it do differently that stands out from the competition? What makes your visualizations unique, and how does it add value to a project?
So that's a great question, because we do stuff a little bit different than everyone else does. We specialize in interactive abilities and visualization. It basically means we make custom software for each client, so every project is different. The best part is it doesn't need to be installed, so 9 times out of 10 you don't have to deal with IT and the firewall issues.
Today's fast-paced infrastructure development landscape, ultra-high-end 3D and 4D visualizations have become an indispensable tool for AEC firms. These cutting-edge visualizations have the power to revolutionize the way we plan, design, execute complex infrastructure projects, paving the way for increased efficiency, reduced costs, and enhanced collaboration. In this episode, we're joined by Justin Gould, designer 2 at Parametrix, to discuss the incredible capabilities of advanced visualization techniques that allow architects, engineers, and urban planners to create stunningly realistic representations of their projects. We'll be discussing the world of high-end 3D and 4D visualizations and how they're transforming the way we design and communicate complex infrastructure projects. I am your host, Nick Hine, and this is the AEC Engineering and Technology Podcast. Before we get started, here's a quick word from our sponsor for today's episode, Parametrix.
Parametrix helps their clients imagine what's possible. Whether it's resilient infrastructure, livable communities, or habitat restoration, they partner with clients to create vibrant, sustainable communities and restore the health of the planet for generations to come. As a 100% employee-owned company, their people have a vested interest in strong performance and exceptional client service. Interested in becoming an employee owner at Parametrix? Learn more at www.parametrix.com. Let's create tomorrow together.
It's now time for our conversation of the week with Justin Gould. Justin, thank you for joining us on the show. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Justin's actually got a very interesting background in the way his role interacts with the AEC space, so we're just going to jump right into it. Justin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career journey in 3D simulation and interactive visualization?
Yeah, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Media Arts and Animation, and I started off making mobile games for a small startup. That was basically going from concept all the way up to production to release, and then I did that for a couple of years, and then I've also did some developing for websites using WordPress. And then for the past 6.5 years, I've been working with the Parametrix visualization team. We were formerly known as CivilFX until we were acquired. I've been doing this for the past 10 years using a multitude of 3D programs. And I specialize in high-end 3D and 4D interactive visualizations using the power of game engines. And I kind of went through this career path because I wanted to work in video games, but I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. So coming into this space, this is kind of a unique niche where I could do pretty much anything I want to manipulate the 3D space to help out our clients and just hone in on my skills at the same time, and with the ability to innovate and improve our visualizations.
Well said. And Justin, for those who don't know, could you just talk a little bit about the difference between 3D and 4D in this context?
3D, we typically consider just, your 3D typicals or just stuff in 3D space. 4D, we consider more like a Gantt chart where we can actually scroll through a timeline and it can show how things move and when each thing happens on the screen.
So time is the fourth element, essentially.
Yes, the time is the fourth.
Understood. And, and this all leads to our next question, Justin, which is interesting in this space. Why is visualization, in your opinion, so important in infrastructure projects?
So visualization is, I think, a lot of people see it as a luxury item for the end of their projects, but it's much more than that. It can help out with public outreach, stakeholder meetings, proposals, grants to assist the clients in securing funds. It helps reference the final design and going through like from existing construction phasing all the way to the proposed stuff. You can highlight things. It actually, crazy enough, helps with QC, which a lot of people probably don't think about when it comes to visualization, especially if it's something such as like if you have two separate companies working together and their stuff isn't lining up, they don't notice until like a lot later on. A lot of times we catch it, and so we can reach out to each side and be like, hey, your stuff isn't really lining up right now. And so they can go ahead and fix it. So in the end, it can save them hours of time, thousands of dollars, and really, who doesn't like saving money, especially this economy?
Which makes a lot of sense. And Justin, I can speak to that point because on the architecture, engineering, and construction side, end users of the products, buildings, infrastructure, et cetera, as normal people, like it's not like everyone understands how to interpret 2D drawings, which are typically the end deliverables to actually get projects delivered. So where you guys come in sounds really interesting because you're bringing this like recognizable reality to the general population. And it sounds like making things very easy to understand.
Yeah, it really helps bring people or gives people the ability to see this project in a physical space based on proposed plans and really bring the project to life.
Which has got to be really useful because, like you said, in just interacting with the general public, you have better odds of succeeding at whatever you're doing if everybody's essentially on the same page.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
So Justin, like how does a CivilFX model, or like what does it do differently that stands out from the competition? What makes your visualizations unique, and how does it add value to a project?
So that's a great question because we do stuff a little bit different than everyone else does. We specialize in interactive abilities and visualization. It basically means we make custom software for each client. So every project is different. The best part is it doesn't need to be installed. So 9 times out of 10, you don't have to deal with IT and the firewall issues. We actually have programmers in the office who specialize in game design, as well as modelers, basically to help bring your engineering plans to life. There's like a lot of crazy stuff we can do. Like we specialize in interactive Gantt charts. We can do real-time renders. There's construction phasing. Our software allows us to make cameras on the go, so we can get on a call and just basically, instead of just having to wait for like emails and go back and forth to see where they want a camera, or you can just use a composite render that is static. We can go and meet with you, make the cameras right then and there, name it to whatever, and we can get a render out right away. We also do phasing between existing to whatever the proposed alternatives. Our project sizes range from like being small, like a little bridge, all the way up to like 10, 15 miles of just engineering plans. We also specialize in VR experiences. We also, like I said before, we use the power of game engines such as Unity and Unreal. We used to use Unity. We're switching more to Unreal because we're finding that the fidelity is better for us, especially considering like more of the movie and television industry seems to be using Unreal to help with their shows, such as like The Mandalorian. So why don't we try to get that kind of fidelity going there? We also help with, we specialize in 3D printing. It's a lot of cool stuff that's going on there. And again, the QC, we can be used as the middleman. So the different firms can look at the stuff, what we have, see it from different angles. They can see where they need to make changes, especially when it comes to like height and stuff. They can, bridges, they can go in, they can see the model, and they can get screenshots. If they have stakeholders, they need to show like, if like a sign's blocking their view, we can just go in right away and show them. We consider it a visual digital twin because we're not exactly using data points. We're more using like just plans. So PDF and whatever else we're given. It's also great because we have something that's like, we call them chevrons. They're paths that we can show how a person can get from one end to the other when it comes to infrastructure projects. So if there's a new system like a diverging diamond interchange, like a DDI, we could show how the public can drive through it, because a lot of that's new, and especially in Vegas where we do a lot of our stuff, there's a lot of new ways and driving around in here. We also can do things like a basic measure tool. We have the ability to show utilities and pipes and other things underground. We can grab stuff from AimSum or Vissim, which no one else really has been able to figure out how to do, and bring it into a game engine. That way they can see the data points with 3D objects. It's actually funny, we sometimes get clients that have been directed directly from Vissim to come use our stuff when they want to visualize the data points, and rather than just using dots. And
which makes a lot of sense. And to add to that note, Justin, so in your experience, why should companies invest in high-end visualizations for their infrastructure projects?
Well, the visualizations are actually really affordable compared to the total cost of the project. We're bringing the project to life, and it can really help public buy-in. They can see the alternatives, especially if you take it to a public meeting, which we enjoy doing. We take a big, large touchscreen, and the public can see everything, and they can actually give their opinion there at the public meeting. It makes it easier for everyone. So if there's like a weird take, or if the public doesn't like something, they can actually see it in a 3D space versus just a top-down roll plot of views, because sometimes it's kind of hard to tell what's going on, especially when it comes to bridges. Then they can see like how tall the bridge is, where their view is going to be blocked, things like that. And they say like pictures are worth 1,000 words, but visualizations are worth kind of like an infinite amount, because you get a different picture no matter where you look.
And it really goes back to that topic of just making things super simple for the average person to understand. And like we said before, if they're not able to really piece it together from construction drawings, sections, plans, details, and even isometrics, which is trying to take it to that next step, sounds like visualizations are just a great way to get everyone on the same page.
Oh, yeah. It helps a ton.
So, Justin, to add on to the previous question about what makes you guys unique kind of in your niche, do you have any examples that you can share that would pretty well explain that?
Yeah, so sometimes we use these data points to show like traffic going through something like a drive-through. Or we have this one project from San Isidro, the port of it, and it shows like traffic and cars going through, showing how long it takes each car to go through, to kind of like figure out the best way to move traffic faster. You can actually turn on and off each of the gates, and it'll show how slow and how much of a backup there is.
Interesting. And then could you just talk a little bit more about what the use cases or who the owners may be that would utilize that type of visualization?
I think for that one would probably be great for anyone at the border or different countries interacting with each other all over the world, really to see how many people they can get through their gates to enter the country, how long it takes, even if they wanted to extend their port of entry, just to really add on just data.
Which sounds like another great example of what is probably today, without your visualization, a pretty manual and hard to imagine process.
Oh yeah, that's pretty hard. It just really helps. You can go into something like Congress or something, show this off so they can understand it versus looking at a bunch of PDFs or data tables.
Which again gets back to the point of what you guys do, which is to provide very, very easy to understand visuals to get the average person and decision makers to come to a decision that everybody can agree on.
Yes, definitely.
And Justin, what types of files or data formats can be integrated into your visualizations to maximize their effectiveness? So
we use pretty much everything that everyone else uses, all the engineering firms. We use DTM meshes. We use CAD, roll plots, PDF plans, XML files, Rhino files. We can grab stuff from SketchUp. We mainly use 3ds Max for our stuff, but we have guys that use Maya and stuff like that. So we just can take their 3D models, bring it into our software, then put it out to the game engines. We use aerial images, photogrammetry, the VisM8, some data points. We also use like pictures and drone shots and other various file types similar to those.
Wonderful. And how do these visualizations impact client decision making in public infrastructure on infrastructure projects? So I know you talked a little bit about bringing these to public meetings, but is there any other good examples of either of those two?
Yeah, like when it comes to public meetings, it's always a positive reaction. Like we find that people tend to come up to us instead of the 2D flat board, especially if there's like takes involved where people are like, I want to see if my house is going to be disturbed at all during the construction. They come to us and we can just swap between phases and be like, hey, so your house is gone here. You might want to go talk to that person about that. But yeah, we've also like won projects strictly based on our renders. Like for proposals, we've had some clients like mention that like who they were interviewing with, the interviewers were just like went up and saw the project and be like, oh, I want that one, pretty much. So it's really helpful in that regard as well.
It sounds like you're able to get to end decisions much faster that everyone is in agreement with, if I'm hearing you right.
Oh, yeah. It's just easier to look at an image of a 3D object versus just like a ton of plans in a PDF.
And I think as practicing professionals, we sometimes lose sight of that because we're so used to essentially recreating something in 3D from a bunch of 2D plans when that's not normal for the average person to be able to do.
Yeah.
So Justin, let's also talk about another, I think, hot topic that's recurring in, AEC tech, which is drone use. How do you guys use drone technology to enhance the quality of your visualizations? So
we use drones we mainly use it to get better shots for our composite renders. Like I'm actually a Part 107 licensed pilot, so I can go out and to a field. I don't have to really disturb the public. Like we use small drones for the high quality pictures because the technology's there now, and we don't have to worry about hiring like a cherry picker or a helicopter or something like that to go out and get this footage we need. We can pretty much take shots from anywhere we need to, as long as I get permission from the FAA, of course. And it's just really easy to do nowadays. Like I said, we don't have to disrupt traffic. We don't have to disrupt wildlife. We can just go out again if we need to get new shots. We can also generate point clouds and photogrammetry from the shots as well. Although we typically use what's called cesium in our Unreal CivilFX models. It uses Google tiles. We're finding that photogrammetry is great from far, but when you get close up, the trees start to look blobby, like it's something out of a Dr. Seuss book. And so when you want those close-up shots, it's kind of off-putting. It's like an uncanny valley of like what is going on. So we do sometimes use photogrammetry for like further back shots, and then we use our own, like the cesium tiles up close, and then we use our own trees for that type of stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of this has cross applicability into just straight, either engineering or reality capture applications within the industry. And I can appreciate what you mean about that up close and not quite getting the texture of objects like trees correct. And trees are always an interesting topic in reality capture as well. But Justin, this has been great. I've learned a lot from the perspective of someone who's providing these, what sounds like really neat and valuable visualizations to the public, infrastructure owners, engineers, etc. on their projects. But if you were to give a final piece of advice to engineers that are looking to incorporate this type of visualization technology into their projects, what would it be?
Visualization isn't as expensive as you might think. Like we can do renders for under $5,000 depending on what that is, and we scale to your needs. Like we said, it's customized to anything you need, so we can build visualizations into your budget. Really, any size project can benefit from visualization. Even the smaller ones, like you might not think it's needed, like something like a pump house. It might be great just to be able to see it. It can help the people who are constructing it see what it's supposed to look like. It's really invaluable for understanding the alternatives and engaging the public. And like, honestly, more and more of our clients are demanding our visualizations just because it's been so helpful with the clients and the public in general. And we are flexible to get the best possible outcome with you. So really, let us help you.
All right, so Justin, thank you again for joining us today. If our listeners want to connect with you, ask you questions about anything we talked about today, what's the best way to reach you?
You can reach me at my email at jgould@parametrix.com. I think that just send an email, reach out, or you can find our email on the Parametrix website or the CivilFX website.
Beautiful. Justin, thank you so much again for taking the time to join us today. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been great to talk.
Absolutely. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
Bye.
Thanks, Justin. Please remember, you can find the show notes for this episode at aectechpodcast.com. There, you will find a summary of key points discussed in today's episode, as well as links to any of the resources, websites, or books mentioned during this episode. Until next time, I wish you the best in all of your engineering and technology endeavors. Thank you.